Hello and good evening. Welcome to I think this is now the sixth session of YPC Talk Tuesdays. I think what's really awesome is that if we look back into September, it was just an idea that we want to kickstart. Most importantly, add value by delivering content to you, our members of the SAIM YPC. And if we look back now, I think we've gained so much traction and momentum that everything is going quite awesome and it's electrifying. With the edition that we're going into October, as I had mentioned, we're still looking for speakers. So feel free, if you're interested in actually using the platform to speak, either to improve your presentation skills or to market yourself, build a brand. The platform is out there for you. So feel free to approach us to present. We'll give you the platform, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to add value to the mining and minerals sector. So either you'll add value by sharing the knowledge that you have, or most importantly, building your brand such that you can be recognized for the efforts that you're putting into the industry. And we'll definitely gladly recognize your efforts as well. For today's session, I have two awesome speakers. So the first speaker is Dr. Siwela Jeffrey Baloy. He is actually a mintaker and one of the winners of the Mail and Guardian Top 200 category. So that is really awesome because then he'll be giving us his talk on a journey worth embarking on from zero to hero in research. And then we also have the SAIM YPC current chairperson, and that's Shepherd Manjengwa. And he'll be giving us a presentation on the role of young professionals in ensuring sustainability of the mining industry through digitalization in the context of the fourth industrial revolution. So it's going to be quite a very interesting evening. As I mentioned, Tuesdays, they're for YPC and chill. So please do make sure that you put Tuesdays aside such that we can engage, connect, but most importantly, grow and make an impact within the industry. So first up, I'll read up Dr. Siwela's autobiography, so a short one, and then I'll give him the chance to speak. He has actually between 20 to 25 minutes. And then after that, we'll address some of the questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Feel free to ask in the Q&A. Importantly, if you have questions, address them in the Q&A. But if you have general comments, then you can use the chat box. Okay, so Dr. Baloy is ambitious, self-motivated, with a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and very goal-orientated. He has great passion for scientific research, leadership, and motivating and inspiring people from various backgrounds. He's interested in applying cutting-edge scientific approaches to generate research outputs that can lead to innovation, to commercialization. A chemical engineer with strong background in material science, wastewater treatment technologies, reactor design, mathematical optimization, multivariate statistical methods, data analysis, and new product development. His areas of interest are material science, design, assembly of nanomaterials for energy conversion and storage, catalysis, wastewater treatment, optimization, statistical analysis of process data, and computational fluid dynamics, CFD. So as you can see, we have what I call an engineering superstar amongst us. So without any further ado, I'd like to give the platform to Dr. Baloy.
Thank you for the platform and thank you for the invite. Can you please confirm if you can hear me clearly on your side, Wesley?
Definitely perfect.
Okay, no, that's pretty good. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the attendees who made it a point that they sacrificed this evening to be part of the talk, and also thanking the Southern African Institute of Mining and Metallurgy to have such a great initiative. This is a great platform for the young intellectuals to have the battle of ideas and also to have a talk where they share what they went through and what they are going through, so that it can be very useful in terms of building the nation. So today I'll be talking about the journey worth embarking on from zero to hero in research. One day you'll tell your story of how you have overcome what you are going through as we speak now, and will become part of someone else's survival guide. So as you know, leaders and colleagues, that what you have went through and what you have overcome, it's someone's guide to lead them to a great destination. When you look, we have different paths and different challenges in the journey which we take towards research and life in general. Meaning, what I always tell people is that whatever problem you might have might not necessarily be a new problem. Someone else has went through and they've conquered. What left is for you to do a search in terms of who went through it and who have conquered. So my presentation, how I'll do it, is not in the form of a presentation slides. The reason I did that, it was to avoid a situation where I just throw you with a lot of bombastic words without just describing, defining them, and then, yeah, so I want it to be much in terms of being realistic. The moment you put things down more in the PowerPoint, a lot of information, that's where it takes another shape of one trying to be too smart and not being realistic about the real situation. So in this talk, I'll be reflecting on my research journey and the research in general, with a focus of what makes you to be a great researcher as a young person. So you see, when you look at the research, it's unfortunate that this is one of the field which might look easy, but it's not easy, especially to us young people. When you get into the field, you have to be in the same situation of battle of ideas with people who have been in the industry for a while, people who have been doing research for a while, people who might look down at you, people who might not believe in you. Some, they will tell you that a great researcher starts at 40. And then now you see, after graduating, you're still less than 30. You complete your PhD around there, and then about around 30 and all this. And then now someone tells you that a research started at 40. Through this, we'll judge for ourselves really that young people cannot handle research and then get to be a great researchers themselves. As we know now, we are under a situation of COVID-19 pandemic. And then the reality is that the pandemic itself, it has several overturned the lives and the prospects of young people. So many dreams have been shattered by pandemic. Hence, when I start my talk, I had to congratulate the Young Council in terms of coming with this initiative. We need it the most now. This situation has created an unprecedented health challenge, unavoidable distraction to work, research, education, future. It is full of uncertainties. The future which we are faced with now, there's a lot of uncertainties. We don't know what will happen, how we do research. It has affected us. Some of us who are working now, it has affected us in education. Now we moved on virtual online. There's a course which I'm doing at UP. I was telling someone that, when I am online, I'm still battling. I can't even take notes. I can't even concentrate because there's not that interaction, that social interaction, which we need. And then sitting close to your these classmates and then having informal discussions and then stopping the lecture as you wish, asking. The moment you want to stop the lecture, you find that the network is not on your side, and then the connection is struggling. So it has impacted us a lot in terms of our research plans and what we do now in the labs, you find that if you're at the varsity and the labs, you'll be told that only 3 people are allowed at the same time. Here, even here at MinTech, you'll be told that there are a lot of boundaries around so that we can be able to control this pandemic. And that itself, it resulted in a lot of anxiety in a lot of us young people now in terms of how we do things. Therefore, it's very much interesting that without the institute like SIME and all the other young professional council, without them creating a strong and a local response, we'll face a situation whereby you find that young people could be staring down the barrel of decades of poverty. And that's true. Without having this platform to discuss the issues in terms of how do one move to that zero to the hero in research, even in the situation of pandemic, we'll be making sure that the poverty itself, it will enhance. The results of that, you might not see it, but you will see it when there is unemployment because the economy itself is suffering. So the setbacks of the economy, they might be very harsh, special on us. All these social disturbance, they are more harsh on us compared to those who have been in the industry, who have been there before us. As young people now, it's us who need to make sure that we have solutions in terms of how to get out of the situation very strong, not impacted about this. However, despite these challenges, we are seeing a youth population that is ahead of the curve. That's the reality. That's the reality for us to make sure that these initiatives start in September and then we have all these. That is enough proof to show that young people are ahead of the curve. We are harnessing the talent, the passion we have for work we do, for the research and everything. We want to turn the adversity into the advantage. So this is very important, because when you look at it, is that you look at it, if us, we cannot do it as young people who are doing the research and everyone, no one will do it for us. And this is the time where we need each other the most in terms of the talks, giving the talks, sharing how we do things, and then how we overcome some challenges. So I'll look into this so that we connect to the reality of one being a researcher. Let's take a look at the system in mind. This is very critical, because when we grow up, there are roles in terms of the system, which is then mind created for us, the expectation from where we come from, that you are Wesley, and then you are from Soweto, you are from Guguletu, and then as you come from Umlazi, what we need is for you to go to school, go to the university, after go to a workplace, work, and then start paying black tax, and then all this. And then that's the system which has been created for us. And this system is breaking us researchers, because when you look at it, the matter of fact is that it's very difficult for people to be engaging in the research when we still have instilled the very same mindset. The research will take you through a journey which is very harsh, and then it needs someone who's very much strong, and then you know exactly what you want to achieve at the end. If the system in mind which has been created for us still exists and then very much dominant in your brain, I can cross my finger, you might not even pass the BSc level or the degree level. That can be BTech and all this. You can't even pass it. To talk about masters will be something else, not even mentioning PhD, because the system in mind which has been created for us is that the moment you do masters, you do PhD, you are too overqualified. Parents waiting at home saying, you are not finishing school, how far is school on? So you'll see at the end that what comes in between, it's you making sure that you quit just to embrace that system and also make what has been put for us, for people, for you just to look great in front of everyone. So let's look at the university. You have a lot of us who happen to be coming from these poor backgrounds, where we attended these schools, primary high schools, without even seeing any science experiment lab. We never did any experiment lab, and then you will do everything. You will imagine the sodium hydroxide, and then it's a solid, it's a powder. You just imagine how it could look like, and then how it could smell, and then how it react. So it's unfortunate that most of us went through that because of the high rate of inequality and everything. So what comes in place is that when you have to go to the university, at the end, you'll have universities which are very much strong in research. You will have universities which were not really meant for research in the past. So what happened is that when you have to go to these universities, you will find that you are in a university which is less concentrated in terms of doing research. And that's the reality, and that's where most of the people are coming. And then now we need to deal with the system in mind in terms of how do you change the majority of us who might have started at the University of Technology and then inspiring to have a love of research and then continue doing research. And then you also have when you go to the traditional university, also still the same thing, because what you have is in mind is that I just want to go to vets and finish vets. It's very difficult at vets. Once you finish at vets, you just go to some mine, you'll be waking at some mines, and then once you're waking, and then that's it. But one forget that when we enter the universities, what makes us apart from others and makes us unique, the journey started there. The journey started at the university for you to become a good researcher. Meaning, a good researcher at the university can be seen a student who can balance extramural activities and the degree itself. You are destined to achieve a lot of things in life. A degree itself, it should be a bonus to you as a student. A university, it's a world on its own, a world which create a great leaders, a great scientist, a great individuals which are much respected by the community. So what happened is that immediately when you enter the university, be involved in activities. It can be leadership activities and other activities. Like myself, when I went to the university, I became involved in terms of the student academic leadership. I've been requested many times by different political organizations to come and assist in terms of being part of them, leadership and all these things, but I've always refused. The reason for my refusal was simple, because I have set my goals and I knew exactly where in space I want to be in life. So what happened is that I find myself as involved in terms of the Faculty of Engineering Student Fellowship, where I led, occupy so many positions, became chairperson 2 times. So there's a lot of position which I've occupied. On the other side, as a Christian, I was involved also in the church activities, where I have even led in the executive. So when you look at it, there were a lot of things which I got involved into, and then they occupied all my time. So I could not have time to be doing other things. It will be all these activities which are keeping me busy. And at the same time, you need to make sure that you achieve academic excellence. Because remember, the most important thing which you are at a tertiary institution is to get a qualification. And then in the process of getting qualification, these other activities, they open your mind, and how you interact with people, how you lead with people, you start to embrace diversity. Hence, you will find that in terms of all these other things which people are struggling with now, it can be an issue of tribalism, racist, and all these things. These are done by people who have never been anything in life in terms of being involved in other things. You'll find that a person who might be racist or tribalism, when you look at them, you just find that this one just went at the Tshwane University of Technology and get a degree, and that's it. And they never been involved in anything. They never learned anything outside their course about life. So what I encourage is that young people need to be involved in so many activities. You don't have to be disparate to be involved in terms of politics, because I have my own view about that, and also in terms of the studies. You know, when you do as a scientist, politics, they become very much flexible for social science people, people who are in political science and all this. They have much influence, but there's an integration in terms of all the student society, which are linked to the student governing body. So it's one's choice. And then also you have to look in terms of how you will balance your time. Because in the most cases, as a researcher, you start from first year, how you do your projects and everything. And then you find that you even have practicals which end up at late around this time. And then you need to balance all that. And then another thing is that let's move to, for the sake of time, let's move to the workplace. Immediately when you enter the workplace, the system in mind tells you that you need to take a lot of responsibility, and I'm a graduate. I've found people who are operators, people who, some of them might be coming from the college as artisans, people who just that matric, and I hear cleaners and everyone. And then the system in mind tells you that when I get to a workplace, I must be given this big responsibility. I must be leading in this. I must be making things happen and all these things. And then you get a shock of your life when you enter the workplace. Basically now is the 0 point. So meaning now it's a start point. Most of us will go and do internships, graduate programs. But the system in mind will tell you that if you are doing internship, you are basically nothing. You are nothing even when you do a graduate program. But the reality is that if you have to look within people within yourself, people who have been put in the programs before they are thrown into a deep end, they become a very good people in terms of what they do. So that's one of the things that when you move in terms of a research which you have studied at the university, getting into a graduate program and all these things should not be something which demotivate you in terms of continuing with the excellency. I mean, when I started at MinTech, I started, I think, same year with Wesley. We went to MQA programs. When we did MQA programs and all these things, I mean, really, when you look in terms of the expertise and what we thought we know, it was like issue of saying that no, but this program can't be in this program. But the reality is that you tend to learn a lot, because what matters in the research is not how many hours you can spend at the lab, but the boundaries itself, the boundaries that are very much important. Because in your internship, you learn the research in a very good way. You learn the complexity of the boundaries. Because each and every place, the boundaries dictate. And that define how disciplined are you in terms of handling the research and doing the work itself. I mean, as an intern doing my master's, I've managed to win 2 international awards, and then that was back in 2014 and 2014 and 13. So when you look at it, is that when you go to international conference, you have to compete with various people who might be speaking much better English in terms of saying what they want to say, unlike us who need to get it in Xitsonga and then you still need to translate it into English. So when you have to compete into that level, there is a lot of self, you doubt yourself, and then, but it happened that once you are put into that process, and then the awards themselves, they come. But the aim of doing research is not to win awards. You do research because you like what you are doing and you enjoy what you are doing. And then the awards, they just come. Sometimes awards are just lacking. If you have an award, does not mean that at some point you have to think that you are very smart than anyone. It's not always the case. So at some point we do this research, and when we do a research, if you love what you are doing, and then you find things falling, you find things coming your way. And then I'll give you one example about the award which I've won when I was doing my PhD in 2017. I went to the conference. It was an international conference. It was held here in South Africa. I wake up in the morning, I came to Mintech, I was preparing, and then now I get the reminder that my date to present is today, and then I have to present at 3, and then I have to make sure that I have to drive, go there. Mind you, I didn't prepare that much. When I got there, I found that I think it was 30 minutes before I presented, but I presented and then managed to win in terms of the best paper, which I've already sent, and the best presentation. So that itself, it shows you, it tells you that sometimes research is not all about us memorizing things. It's about understanding what your work. When you understand your work, we can call you now and say, present to us. I'm telling you, you can do very well, because we need to run away from the system in mind, in terms of you thinking that doing good is all about these bombastic words and all these things. The most important thing is to get the message across, communicate with people. Let us not be like politicians. What they do, you find that someone is speaking for the whole 5 minutes, you cannot even get any sense out of it, because now you are busy on Google trying to put each and every word, and then Wikipedia to tell you what does it mean so that you can connect. That's not the aim of the communication. If you really know your story and you really want to communicate the message across, keep simple English, and then that's the best way to deal with it. So now let's look at the research itself, because the research itself is very important. One cannot become a very good researcher without the research itself. And then now, the good research, it involves systematic planning and setting time-based and realistic objectives. I think that's much clear. You have to have a clear planning, the time-based and realistic objectives. All these things, when you do a proposal, it's always captured. The research itself, it needs to involve a flexible research methods based upon a research methodology that best suit the nature of your research question. So when you have your research question, you need to have a very much flexible method. The mistake we always make, it's common to many of us, whereby you'll just go and copy work and paste and paste and paste and paste and paste and paste. And then now we ask you, but when you say this, what do we mean? You don't even understand. And that's very dangerous, because you read, try to understand things, apply it to what you are doing, and then have a better way to put it very clear for you to understand, not for your supervisor to correct you. Because if you put things just for your supervisor to correct you, that's why we're getting it wrong. You will never become a very good scientist in that matter. Put things for you to understand. When you understand things, you are in a better position to defend them in any situation. So one more last thing, which is very much important in terms of research, you must have the work which is easily reproducible, replicable. So when you look at that, you can't have a research which is only done by you as Wesley, and then if Jeff has to come and repeat the very same experiment, you cannot get the very same results. I mean, it should be a fly-by-night research. Research need to be reproducible. People need to produce the knowledge which you have put down. So now I'll look in terms of this very quick in terms of when we have looked at research itself, we move to a person now. We say, what makes you to be a good researcher? A good researcher needs someone who's open-minded. You must be able also to adopt a critical way of thinking. This is what I've been emphasizing on the previous slide. So you should be hardworking, diligent, and focused, and devoted to the specific field of interest. I'll look on the last one. When you look, I remember when I started my master's, I registered my master's, and then quick within 2 months, but no one really noticed. I completely dropped out by my supervisor. They didn't know. And then he called me and said, Jeff, why it looks like you have lost interest in this? I said to him that I need to be honest because I don't like the work which I'm doing. And then he said, okay, if you don't like the work, what do you suggest? I said, no, I'm interested in doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this was along his lines of research field. And I said, it's fine. If you think that's the case, go and do it. And then I did it. And then now I have to prove myself to him that this field, which you said I might not be well suitable for it, I'm doing it and I'm doing it nicely. So you see, the moment you do that, hence these awards will come and everything, because now it will be more about you than what your supervisor says. And that's the critical point which we miss when we're working with the supervisors. And then when now we are supervising, and that's also the critical point we miss, because we like to force people not studying the whole team very well in terms of their strength. And then another thing which we need to look into is the updating knowledge is very much important and can be accomplished in a several ways, because when we talk about knowledge and then people try to ask, no, but how do I get to that? And then you must be a person who's very much interested in terms of reading and then the current literature, and then getting the trends in terms of what's happening, the technologies which are being implemented, the current research in your field, and making sure the most important thing is that attending these conferences. When you attend a conference, you don't just go or attend just to get food and all these things the whole weekend, having to travel in a flight and all these things. The most important aspects there is to exchange ideas. Exchange ideas with people who are working at the relevant field as you do. So one thing which we need to look into more is a modern researcher. A modern researcher must be resourceful and creative in order for you to transform the scientific inquiries and hypotheses into a realizable protocol. So when you look at it, the resourceful part and the creative, they're very much important. And then we will agree with me that the research itself, it needs also a good funding. But I won't dwell in too much in that for interest of time. So one thing which also I'm not going to dwell much on them because the time is not on our side. There's still a next speaker who has to be engaging on another topic. So selecting a supervisor, that's very much important. So we look in terms of two things, which is your master's and PhD. In terms of your master's, that's just mastering whatever field which you are in. In terms of the PhD, the trouble starts. Then now you need to be creating a knowledge. There must be an aspect of your work which is contributing direct to the knowledge, and knowledge has been created. And then now, why does it worth to be really embarking in terms of this journey of the becoming a great researcher and all these things? When you look in South Africa, we have a very, I think it can be less than 2% of the PhD holders. The target which has been put around 2017 by the government is that Department of Science and Innovation. The target is just to have 46 graduates per million population. And when you take that and then you put it into percentage, it gives you that our target is around 0.01%. Let's just look at countries like UK, which At UK now, it's sitting at 406, around that 406 million per million. So when you look at the differences, there's no reason you can doubt that as a PhD holder, how important are you to the country and to the development of the country? And then in terms of fighting the unemployment, poverty, and inequality. So I would like to say that don't wait until you have reached your goal to be proud of yourself. Be proud of every step you take towards reaching that goal. Thank you very much for your time, Wesley. And my apology that, I like talking, so I can go on. I like to apologize for the time. The next speaker, I'm maybe that is the chairman of the council. So
No. You actually within time range. So I allowed for you to have that extra time. So all good. Are you happy to wrap up?
No, I'm fine. I'm done. I was just apologizing because at some point when one can see that maybe they are over time, it's not good just to pretend as if everything is well.
Awesome. So here's what I'll try and do then. I think it's best probably we have Shepard present, and then that way once he's done, then the time that it's towards the end, we can then use that for engagement. So I'd like to encourage the audience to still continue bringing the questions for Jeff and for Shepard. Just that we'll address most of the questions then towards the end. Awesome. So let me introduce Shepard. As I had mentioned before, he actually did not include this in his short CV, but Shepard is the current SAIM YPC chairperson, and he's also the founder of the SEBI Digital, which provides ICT services and support. Shepard completed his diploma in information technology management and a 3-year national diploma in mining engineering from UNISA. He worked in a quarry mining nickel mechanized and underground and metallurgical research and development. He's currently a technical manager. So I guess I'd like to give this opportunity to Shepard to share his presentation with us, and then towards the end, we can then address questions and engage further.
Thank you, Leslie. Wesley, thank you, Kondwane. Can you hear me? Can you confirm if you're hearing me?
Yes, you're good to go.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Baloy. I think Wesley can agree with me that we need to give you another chance so you can come and present to us again. That was quite an interesting and captivating talk, very informative. So, Doc, please, you should expect our invitation again. I, for one, was also enjoying the talk. So definitely we are going to be inviting you again. You should just look forward to that. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank our distinguished guest attendees who are here with us today. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure you are benefiting and you are enjoying all these talks that are happening. I was tempted, almost tempted to say, come on, Doc, you can just continue, go ahead and take my time. All right, so today I'm going to be presenting on the role of young professionals in ensuring sustainability of the mining industry through digitalization in the context of the 4th Industrial Revolution. I just want to give a disclaimer, could there be someone from the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, that this topic, I do not own it, but the presentation I do. This topic we were given by the Ministry, Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, so that I can present on the 4th of September. We presented it to the young professionals in the Department of Minerals. So now we have just decided to adopt this topic and to make it ours. When we talk of sustainability, what are we talking about? When we talk of sustainability, it has to be able to answer 3 questions. Is it socially viable? Is it environmental friendly? Is it economically profitable? Those are the 3 things that we need to talk about when we are talking about sustainability. So with this fourth industrial revolution, this digitalization that everyone is making noise about, that everyone is talking about, will it ensure sustainability in the mineral industry? Will it answer the social question? Will it answer the environmental concerns that we have always been having for years in the mineral industries? Will it also answer to the pocket of the investors? Will it be profitable for us to go this route? All right. So according to a research that has been done in the States, in America, it says digitalization in the mines, including data collection, data transfer, and data analysis, is the key to improving productivity in the sector. In recent years, digitalized open platform systems have been developed to implement Internet of Things, technology analysis of big data, as well as aid the use of automated vehicles and equipment, all with positive results for potential operational efficiency. This digital revolution creates the opportunity for mining companies to fundamentally change the business model, unlocking much improved customer service and customization, reducing cost in the value chain, improving safety, and creating opportunities for new businesses. A recent paper from the World Economic Forum, Accenture, estimates digitalization could bring more than $427 billion of value for the mining industries, customers, society, and environment over the next 10 years. So this was done in 2015, estimating up to 2025. So from this research, we can see those three questions being answered. That when it comes to digitalization, this automation in the mineral industry, it is going to answer questions that we've always had about the safety of people, that is the social element, about the environment, about the economic and the profitability of the mining venture. But where are we currently? That's the greatest question that we need to answer. Where are we as the mining industry as far as digitalization is concerned, as far as the fourth industrial revolution is concerned? You'll be surprised to realize that the mining industry is still predominantly stuck in the first and second industrial revolutions, with a few mining houses slowly moving towards the third. We realize that the first industrial revolution brought around mechanized, utilizing water and the power of the steam. This is where we see the steam locomotives that were used in the mineral industry. And then the second industrial revolution brought mass production, utilizing electricity and the assembly of things. And then we realized the fourth industrial revolution brought about computerization, utilizing electronics and automation. Now we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution, but you'd be surprised to realize that we are still stuck in the first and the second. So it means as the young people in the industry, we have a lot to do to contribute towards our industry, which is lagging behind. So if we were to come up with something interesting like this, you would find that our mining industry would be lagging behind in this red, while other industries are moving ahead. You'd find that advertising industries, those are the manufacturing, and we are talking about countries like developing countries like where we are. You'd find that even in these developing countries, some industries are ahead of the technology. They have embraced the technology. They are fully utilizing the fourth industrial revolution, the third. So as an industry, the young people of the industry, we need to do something about it. So according to Professor Tsilidzi Marwala, there are reasons why our industry could be lagging behind. So he has stated 4 reasons that he thinks our industry is lagging behind. The first one is that the mining environment, especially in deep mines, is hostile to technologies. So the temperatures that you find underground are very hot. I've been into one mine where they were sinking the shaft around 900 meters down. The heat was starting to be unbearable. So look at Tautona, the deepest mine. The heat down there is unbearable. So the temperatures, humidity, and noise levels are very high. So semiconductors, devices such as artificial intelligence powered robots do not do well in such environments. So this is the reason, number one, why he thinks that for us to move to fourth industrial revolution is going to be difficult for us as an industry because of the reason number one, because of the environment, the adverse extremes of conditions that we find in the mining industries, especially in the mines. The second one is in humidity. In metallurgical engineering, we learn that humidity causes materials to rust quickly, where we talk of heat, the water. So it causes materials to rust quickly. We also learn that humidity makes devices unpredictable because humidity levels influence the performance of machines. That's the second reason. The third reason is that the environment underground is messy, and therefore a robot that has been designed to operate on the factory floor cannot work very well underground. This is because considerably more resources have been invested in factory robots than we have invested in underground robots. The fourth reason is because the sensors that are needed to power these robots are designed for surface environments rather than the underground environment. The fifth reason that I've also come across is you'd find that in a place like South Africa, where labor is controlled by the unions, where unions have a lot of say on what goes in the workplace, you'd find that unions are concerned that the industry will not only limit new job creation, but in fact reduce their employment figures, owing to the perception that technology and automation replaces people with machine. Please note and underline with the perception that the technology and automation will replace people with machines. It's a perception, and that we'll need to debate some other day. After having considered these 5 reasons, what are we supposed to do as the young professionals in the industry? As the young professionals, what can we do to make sure that, so from the beginning we have noticed that there is a chance that digitalization will improve profitability in the mines. It will improve the environment, it will improve the social conditions of the workers. So therefore we can safely say to some extent it is sustainable. But however, talking of an environment like South Africa, we have realized those 5 conditions that will inhibit our progress to move to the 4th industrial revolution. So as the young people in the industry, what are we supposed to do? What's our role to make sure that we take part in this? Number 1, we need to, as the young people, embrace the revolution. The greatest challenges of any industrial revolution is dealing with perception and resistance to change. And one famous saying says, the only thing constant is change itself. So you realize that it is far much easier for young professionals to embrace the revolution as they are not so much entrenched with the old ways of operation. The greatest challenge that you experience in any industry or at any workplace, whenever there is a new project, you will realize that there is that resistance to change. That's the greatest thing that needs to be managed whenever we are managing change, whenever there's change management. We need to deal with people who are used with the old way of doing things. You would find that where in a mine, even where a mine wants to mechanize, it's coming from old conventional ways where they also want to introduce machinery. Could it be for drilling when they are used to our old pneumatic jackhammers? Now we want to use drilling machines to drill. You'd find that we will have a lot of resistance to the people who are used to old ways of doing. I remember at one point in time at a mine where people were used to charge with cartridge explosives. Now we wanted to move to emulsion. It was a difficult thing where the workers, the charging crew, were saying, we were not going to achieve the advance that we want. We are not going to. But after all the research and feasibility study had been done to realize that emulsion was going to improve on a lot of things, cost saving, but you realize it was the greatest challenge for people to embrace the change. So this is number one, that we need to realize that whenever there is a new technology, whenever there is a new revolution, there will always be people who are used to old ways of doing things. And that will be the greatest resistance that you face. So as the young people, we are living in this generation of technology. We need to embrace technology. We need to embrace the revolution. And we need to be the ones that drive this revolution in our workplaces. The second one, we need to be future-proof. We do so by acquiring future-proof skills. We realize that the world is moving. We are moving in a technology world now. We need to embrace technology. We need to acquire future-proof skills. Since the future is digital, it is going to be critical to develop future-proof skills. But how do you develop them? We need to be job ready. We need to, I don't believe anyone in this day and age doesn't know how to operate a computer, for starters. We need to have a foundational to individuals' entry and ongoing success in the workplace, ranging from initial job search to maintaining continuous. So we realize that as young professionals, there could be some who have just left the high school, the university. Now they have not yet been employed. So we need to spend our time developing skills that will make us employable. We need to be job ready. And that involves acquainting ourselves with the technology and with the digitalization that's taking place. We need to have soft skills, personal attributes, social skills, communication ability that supports interpersonal relationship and interaction with others. We need to have technical skills, knowledge and capabilities to perform specialized tasks. Those are the things that we need to acquire in order for ourselves to be future-proof, to be employable. We need to also take the chance and develop entrepreneurial skills. We need to take opportunities whenever we can to be entrepreneurs, where we could be crying that there are no jobs, where we could be crying that the economy, but let's look for ways to be entrepreneurs, to look for how we can improve and also employ others. There are many ways of acquiring skills without breaking the bank. So the challenge could be someone has finished their university, they have a lot of NSFAS to pay off, they have got a lot of debts to pay off. But nowadays, we realize that we have a lot of ways of acquiring skills. We do have conferences. For instance, YPC does offer a lot of opportunities, webinars, conferences. I'm sure we have been told of the upcoming short course in drilling and blast. Let's take opportunities and chance and involve ourselves in these conferences, in these seminars. Let's join the institutes like YPC. Spend some time on YouTube on how to, I've got a friend of mine who he finished his high school, university, and couldn't find a job. But you realize that most of the skills that he acquired them when he was not working. He spent a lot of time on YouTube finding himself how to do this, you find that YouTube nowadays is full of skills that we need to embrace as young people. These skills that will bring into the workplace. We need to find out what's happening in developed countries like America, like China, like Australia. What equipments are they using in their minds? How can we also bring them here? That brings us to our third question, where it says, find ways to optimize and automate. Finding activities that will add business value through local optimization or automation. Generally, these initiatives will not require a change in your existing operation model and won't in themselves be transformational. They will start the process of transformation without having to manage a web of complex organizational interactions or by introducing acceptable levels of business risk. So you find that to those that are at work, let's look for ways as young professionals to optimize our work environments so that our industry is not lagging behind in this fourth industrial revolution. Like we have said, you find that most mining houses are only in the first and second industrial revolution, when the rest of the industries have now moved to the fourth industrial revolution. So let's look for ways as young people to optimize and automate our environments in our workplace and suggest them to our managers if we are not, and implement them if we are managers. And you realize that bit by bit as an industry, we are catching up to this fourth industrial revolution. Let's also look for ways to localize our solutions. As young professionals, we need to come up with ideas and solutions for our continent, our African continent, South Africa mining and mineral problems. The solution to financial and employment issues lie in solving problems. You'll find that Africa is probably at an advantage being a second world. We do have first world, second world, and third world. You realize that there are systems that are implemented, there are machineries, there are ways that are implemented in first world countries like China, like America, like Australia. We could also look for ways and copy them and localize and implement them in our industry. So for us to speak of mining industry in a country like South Africa is to an advantage because we can easily copy what other countries are doing. So let's look for ways to localize these solutions and implement them in our countries. You realize that the challenge that we are having of unemployment here in Africa, the rate is going high, where we have a lot of people who have graduated, but we have few that are being absorbed in the industry. So it's high time we better look for systems that are there, out there in the developed countries, and then we implement them here. You would find that before you know it, we also are creating employment. We are also dealing with the economic issues that we face as young professionals, where we do have ideas, but we don't know how to implement them. But let's start by copying ideas, and then we localize them. We utilize them for our African continent. The fifth and the last one, it says develop an innovative strategy. Despite massive investments of management time and money, innovation remains a frustrating pursuit in many companies. Innovation initiatives frequently fail. Why do they fail? And successful innovators have a hard time sustaining their performance. The problem with innovation improvement effort is rooted in the lack of an innovation strategy. It is high time we better come up with the strategy as the young people. Like what I said, one of the reasons why we are failing to move with the revolution is because of the unions that govern how labor, where we talk of mechanization, it will take away jobs, it will not create jobs. But this is our challenge as young professionals, where we need to come up with solutions to deal with these problems. We realize that mechanization, there's a chance that it will take up jobs and not create them. But this is our opportunity. This is a problem, as I've mentioned earlier on, the challenge that we could be facing of unemployment can be solved by us coming up with solutions to the problems that are there. We could come up with a problem to solve these issues that will make South Africa in particular not to embrace the fourth industrial revolution. One of them could be being the problem that once we do that, we'll have challenges with people who will lose their jobs. But this is our challenge, where we need to come up with a strategy to deal with these problems. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much, and back to you, Wesley.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for the presentation, Shepherd. I definitely appreciate that. So I guess now we'll get into the questions. First one, so actually the first two questions that were related to being part of the Young Professionals Council. So one of the questions was, how can one become a member of the Young Professional Council? I'd like to request Tsepi to share a link in the chat. That way, anyone that's interested can go online and then get the form. So once you have the form, all you need is someone to propose for you as a member and another person to support that. Ideally, you need people in your company that can assist you with that are SAIM members Else, if you're a student, we can also gladly help. The only difference is that for a student member, you will need your head of school to also sign it off. But feel free to connect with any one of us. You can connect with Shepherd, you can connect with myself, then I can gladly assist you, even if it means sending you the actual form for you to complete and guiding you through that process. So definitely to follow up with us on that. Check the link. If that fails, connect with us on LinkedIn and I'll gladly assist. The next question from Mutlaho is, she's wondering if, or he or she is wondering if the Young Professional Council is only for engineering, for people from engineering background. And to answer, I don't think so. Shepherd, do you want to assist on that? I don't think it's only people with engineering background, but I'd say for anyone that directly works with people within the mining and minerals industry. And I'd like to think there's a lot of disciplines that definitely work within the mining and minerals industry. So do feel free as well to become a member, because I believe that essentially as the Young Professional Council, we want to add value, not only to engineering young professionals, but to young professionals in South Africa, in Southern Africa, eventually in the whole of Africa. And then the question that then goes to Jeff, okay? So it's from Simone. So it goes, thank you for the discussion. What would you say to someone who is afraid to address their supervisor and present their own views? Baloy, that one is yours.
Oh, okay. No, thank you very much, Wesley. I mean, when you register for your studies, the studies is your own responsibility. You have to take the full responsibility for your own studies. The supervisor is just there to facilitate the work. So it should not be the other way around. The supervisor should not be telling you what to do. You should be telling the supervisor more what to do in the research. Because the supervisor only rely on the work which you submit to him or her to read that particular work. So it should not be. The environment must be very much conducive. You can't engage in an academic abusive relationship. That's what I can call if you cannot engage freely. Thank you.
Awesome. Another one also for you, and then I'll take a question for Shepherd. So the question is that, where did your passion for research begin? As a child, were you already showing signs of curiosity regarding the world around you?
For the research, I've grown up in a deep rural villages whereby you find that when we grow up, the zero time of the Cape Town people as now making noise recently, it's our normal daily life, which we have grown up in that situation. So as you grow up as a child, you get to be interested to be doing courses which most people might not be doing. And then as you enter into those courses, you get very much interest in terms of how can you deal with a research which can solve problems which your people are experiencing. And then you then realize that when you are done with undergrad studies, there's not much you can do to solve those problems. So then when you continue and do your research, that's where you find that you become to specialize in wastewater, sanitation, and all these things. So basically, the environment itself around me, it had so much influence in terms of me doing the research and also doing the water research, which I'm doing. Thanks.
Fantastic. Shepherd, this one is for you. So the question is, how can one, how can we as young people embrace change and convince people who have been in the industry to adapt new things, as most of them do not trust us with projects, as we do not have experience?
Yeah, that is one of the greatest challenges that you find in the industry, any industry, mining, or where the old people do not trust the young with opportunities, because they say you do not have experience because you're coming from school, so you do not know, you do not tell us. But remember, we are talking about sustainability here. Does your project answer 3 questions? Is it environment friendly? Is it, does it answer the social questions? Is it profitable? This is where we need to come up with a research, a good one, and be convinced that it does answer those 3 questions. And be persistent in presenting your case, because you realize that at the end of the day, mining is a business, metallurgy is a business at the end of the day, where the investors have to realize a profit. So once you present your case persistently and it has proven beyond doubt that your change is going to be sustainable, it's going to be profitable to the company, I am sure you can be trusted. Like Dr. said earlier on, we need to strive to make sure we work in an environment that are not abusive, where young people are also given an opportunity, and they need to prove that, yes, once you've given us an opportunity, we can bring the change. So we have an advantage, we are young, we are energetic. Let's engage ourselves in this research. And once we have been trusted with this change, let's make sure it's worth it. Not to say, last time we gave you an opportunity and then it went haywire. So let's make sure that your change answers these 3 questions. Is this sustainable, economically, socially, and environmentally? And once it is, don't stop to be persistent to make sure that you're given in that opportunity. If not, then continue to be patient and wait. Once you get your shot, make sure it's worth it.
Awesome. I think maybe also just to add on to that, I always emphasize that when you are in a specific company, always make sure that you make your mark, always make sure that you step up, make sure that they know who you are. And as soon as you start doing that, they get used to the fact that you bring ideas to the table. And most importantly, when you come up with ideas, they're able to listen and give you a chance. Versus if you consistently quiet and then randomly you want to pop an idea, chances are they most likely would listen to that person that's constantly stepping up. So I think one thing as young professionals, let's make sure that we step up and we bring ourselves to the table. That way, even the seniors, they can start listening to our ideas and giving us the opportunity to voice our opinions as well. So Shepherd, this one's also for you. From Simone, there are many online courses available, some for free. Would you encourage additional work from us as young professionals to remain relevant? And how do you recommend that we remain relevant?
How do I recommend that we remain relevant? Okay. So like you say, there are many online courses that you need to take, some that are free. Just go ahead, take the shot, and you realize that this is improving you. You'd find that some of these courses might not be accredited, or where you can say to your HR, I have this course, and then please, I need a pay raise. But you would find one thing, that it has improved you, it has changed you, it has elevated you, it has boosted your confidence as well. So for you to remain relevant, keep on improving yourself, keep on taking the shot, keep on utilizing the opportunities that you find. Like Wesley said earlier on, make sure in your workplace, they know you, not as the lazy one, so that next time when you are to give an article or something, or propose a change, people always shoot you down because they know you. But once you are respected in hardworking, in improving these qualities, having these qualities at workplace, you'd find that whatever you mention, it will be respected. So for you to stay relevant, you need to work on yourself. One writer says, work on yourself more than you work on your job. You'd find that that improves value on yourself, and that way you will stay relevant. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think this is more of a comment. I think it was for Dr. Baloy. Thank you for stating the importance of being proud of ourselves throughout the process, because often we forget that. And a question actually for Dr. Baloy from my end is that throughout your whole journey from hero to zero, what's one thing you would say as members and as young professionals we can adopt and start applying to make sure that also our journey is a smooth transition, if I put it that way, despite all the ups and downs, but to try and make it smoother as well?
Simple and straightforward. Take ownership of what you do. You understanding the boundaries and the roles and the authority is very important. One need to understand their role as students and also the authority. which is very much different from that of the supervisor or a manager and whoever. The problem starts when you don't understand the boundaries. That's where you get involved in politics, which does not even directly impact you or impact your studies. So that's my advice. Know the boundaries, stick to your roles, be creative within the boundaries and do everything within the boundaries. State your authority in terms of what? Simple example. I tell my supervisor, I have this research project. I don't like how I do these experiments. And then now this is what I propose. Simple, straightforward. And then within the boundaries, and then the supervisor understand that he also does have authority to tell you that, no, this might not work. So these two things I'm talking about, the boundaries, the roles, and the authorities, three of them, they are very important. So once we stick with that, we can go far because people are interested in people who can reason. If you see a problem, you should be a solution. You can't see a problem and then just throw it, who will solve it for you. Thank you.
Awesome. And then the last question, that's for Shepherd. So the question, Shepherd, is that what excites you the most about digitization?
What excites me most about digitization? I, for one, I love technology and innovation. It makes work easy. That's why they say if you want to have a solution to a problem, to your hard work, give it to a lazy man. He'll come up with an easy way of doing it. So you find that digitalization, I love it because it makes our work easy. It makes it very easy. It also, for instance, like a mining environment to be safe, where if you imagine we can send robots to drill for us, lash for us, we have eliminated the dangers of rockfalls. So that's the interesting part about digitalization, especially in the mining context, where it makes our work easy, it also makes our work environments. Those are the most two interesting things for me about digitalization in the mining context.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I think that definitely brings us to the end, and I'd like to thank you to all the audience for joining us, for making YPC Talk Tuesdays awesome. I'd like to thank you, Shepherd, for stepping up and being our, our chairperson. Most importantly, showing up to present for us. Definitely thank you for that, as well as Dr. Baloy as well. Thank you very much for making time to come and present and share the knowledge that you have grasped throughout, your career journey, and most importantly, helping us add value to our members. As I mentioned, this is an open platform for anyone to come and present. And as such, I'd like to extend the invite to say, if you feel you want to step up, bring yourself to the table, create a brand, present a topic that resonates with you. It doesn't have to be just engineering topic, but it could be your journey perhaps. And the platform is there. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. We'll definitely help you and create that platform for you. Just as a teaser as well, one of the topics that we have for next week is on the importance of creating a work-life balance for us, as young professionals. Because I think as we're discussing now, you would notice that we want to push to obviously step up, create a brand, make sure that we're known, make sure that we bring amazing research to the table, and we're continuously building ourselves. But throughout the journey, we also forget on working on ourselves. We forget on the importance of being mentally stable, managing stress, and all that kind of stuff. So next week will be a bit of that. We have one speaker, a doctor, that will be touching on that, a young professional doctor touching on that, which will be very, very awesome. So until next week, we definitely look forward to you joining us again. Don't forget, YPC Chills Tuesdays, okay? We'll see you very soon. I think without any further ado, I'll go ahead and end the session.
Thank you.